This poor boy works carrying monster bodies, but the dream of the failure is to become a professional hunter. So far, he had saved 40,000, and this was the cost to register for the hunter exam. While resting from work, he happily fiddles with his phone. He looks at courses on how to become stronger but doesn't intend to spend his money on that. Unfortunately, later, an accident happens at work when the crane's chain breaks. He would have to give up the 40,000 he saved for an emergency surgery, or he would lose his leg. From the boss he dedicated so much time working for, he only received 3,000 in compensation and was fired to avoid tarnishing the company. The poor beggar had even lost the sparkle in his eyes when his phone vibrates. It was a sales event for new students at a transcendental academy. But the problem was that the registration fee was 3,000. This was all the money he had to survive. Realizing he was already completely broke and that this amount wouldn't change much, he decides to register. All his money was sucked into another dimension. A tutor appeared, and now he will do missions and learn lessons with his new instructors. He can even sign up to learn from Buddha and gain SSS rank items and skills. After answering several questions and choosing which path he wants to follow, it is decided that his main weapon will be a spear. He even did some lessons with Buddha to better control his Baloid spirit. A week later, the doctor was incredulous that the Buddha had already recovered. In his 30 years of profession, he had never seen anything like it. Of course, this is all thanks to Buddha's lessons, and with only 1.3% learning, he was already effective at this point. His next teacher was Chiron, a centaur who taught everyone on Olympus. Thinking it would be something easy again just like it was with Buddha, he was calm. But suddenly, Chiron shouts for him to get up and start. A mission arises. He needs to run 30 kilometers, do 1,000 squats, 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, and 150 pull-ups. Initially, he only thinks about ignoring that. But the message keeps notifying every hour saying that the task is incomplete. He thinks he will do this later and learn other lessons first, but soon realizes that the free part of the course will only last another 83 days. A moment later, he is in the park running while crying as he realizes that 1 hour will expire and he has to make the most of it. Of course, carrying all those monsters gave him some strength. Soon, he started increasing the number of push-ups he was doing. This excites the boy, and he begins to do the exercises one after another, fulfilling his goal. Even a hospitalized elderly woman starts to see a difference in his physique. This time, he will definitely become a hunter. Returning to his residence, Kim Seo-jun is exhausted. But there is no time to rest, and he quickly signs up for a new lesson. This time, he will learn about sense. His progress continues to grow. The next morning, he returns to work, asking for a new chance since there is no choice. While he was in the dormitory, his work friend enters through the back door. As a work joke, he was going to hit the boy, but he dodges without even looking back. Both were impressed by the situation, and of course, this was due to the sense training he had the night before. Later, his friend questions him if it is really okay for the boy to carry 200 kilograms alone. Not even a look of discomfort is the boy making. No one can understand how he changed so much in such a short time. He feels much stronger. He even starts doing squats, saying he won't have much time after work, but he gets startled when he checks his phone. Each squat was counting for 3 due to overload. He gets very excited about this since he will save time. His workmates almost freak out seeing him doing squats with all that weight. And it doesn't stop there. He starts doing push-ups too. Arriving home, the boy was very happy. Besides earning money working, he also managed to complete all the daily tasks. Going back to fiddling with his phone, he starts looking for other lessons, until he finds one that says he could even uproot mountains from the ground. His new instructor is named Xiang Yu. The new task from the teacher is for him to balance a spear 5,000 times a day. The next morning at the protagonist's workplace, a girl was walking around the areas. She is Park Seo-yoon, a rank B hunter who came to check for threats nearby. Apparently, everyone respects this girl a lot. This is because she is the granddaughter of Park Min-chul, the Sword Star. He had great feats 100 years ago when the portals emerged. He was a powerful awakened one who made gigantic contributions, considered a true hero in this world. But that is not currently the protagonist's concern, who just wants to do his squats with monsters. While he worked, trained, and joked with his friend, a giant monster that was in the pile of bodies rises right next to his companion. At the same time, the girl was lost in thought. She wished to be a teacher, but her grandfather wouldn't allow it. She couldn't have a normal life being the granddaughter of a hero. She even tried to teach at the Hunter Academy, but everyone wanted to learn from her grandfather and not from her. But the girl still wouldn't give up on her dream. She just needed to find an appropriate cadet. Suddenly, a worker runs by, telling them to run. A Manticore was about to swallow the protagonist's friend, and incredibly, the man was just shouting for the boy to run. This was a 4-star monster called Manticore that even experienced hunters have difficulty with. Realizing there wouldn't be time, the boy grabs a piece of iron and runs toward the monster. With one strike, the monster moves back a little. The dude's shocked. but the young guy's yelling for him to run for it. Minchell's like, you should run too. But the brave young guy's like, if I do, we're both toast. Revealing his plan, which is to stall until the hunters show up. Even scared, our hero stands firm in front of the beast, ready to throw down if he has to. Talking to himself, he orders his body to quit shaking and not freeze up. Not now. Suddenly, Buddha's wise words pop into his head, calming him down. Listening closely, the young guy knows he needs to chill his emotions. Just like his shaky, scared heart, while he's thinking, the monster charges full throttle. Him, in turn, starts running at the beast, calming down bit by bit. With glowing yellow eyes, the Manticore raises its paw, ready to strike first. Remembering Kieran's lesson, the young guy knows he has to trust his instincts. The plan works, and he dodges the monster's claws like a pro, jumping back to get some space. Suddenly, the enemy lifts its scorpion tail, and the young guy jumps quick, because he knows before reacting, he has to trust his instincts. Until he spots a weak point, which is the creature's head. In midair, the young guy wonders if he should strike now or not, deciding to trust what Xiang Yu said about his hit being able to split mountains. Gripping his iron bar, Kim decides he's got to split it no matter what. And what he's feeling is definitely the power to tear mountains apart. With all his strength and determination, he attacks and manages to split not a mountain, but the Manticore's body. The hit makes a loud noise and kicks up a ton of dust. Confused, the workers start looking for where the crash came from, as does the huntress who's still around. As she gets closer, the young woman sees Kim standing there, still holding the iron bar. To her shock, behind him is the massive creature, totally wrecked. Grinning awkwardly, the dude's all like, how did that even work? While his grades and lectures start to skyrocket. Totally mind-blown, Park Seo-yoon's all, what just happened? And how did a regular guy, not even a hunter, take down a monster like that without a proper weapon? Snapping back to reality, Kim bolts towards Minchell, zooming past the girl without even noticing her. He's all worried if the dude's okay or if he's got any injuries, but his buddy's also stressing about him. The guy's like, I'm good, but you should hit up the hospital. Meanwhile, the kid's boss is trying to introduce him to the hunter. But everyone's all over him, giving him props for the epic win. Jaw dropped, Park Seo-yoon's like, I finally found him, leaving the dude behind her all puzzled. In her head, she's like, finally found the right cadet, as the workday wraps up and everyone bounces. Strolling down the street, Kim Seo-joon checks his phone and gets a shocker. His lecture progress is off the charts, way better than just replaying classes. He's thinking, this has got to be because I took down a Manticore. So, the best way to level up in lectures is to use what he learned in real battles. His only snag is needing a temporary license for raids, which means joining a hunter academy. Out of nowhere, a voice snaps him back to reality. Turning around, he spots the Sword Star's granddaughter asking if he's got time to chat. Even though he's a bit sus, Kim's like, sure, spill it. Straight to the point, Park Seo-yoon asks if he'd visit her grandpa with her. People nearby are like, no way. Especially when the dude's answer is a big fat no. Stunned, the girl's trying to wrap her head around the rejection, while the dude's like, peace out. She begs him to wait, but our guy just wants to get home and binge his lectures. Feeling awkward, the hunter's like, never been in this spot in my 31 years? The dude turns back and explains he said no, because her academy's basically just on paper. Curious, the girl's wondering who this guy is, doing weird workouts and still taking down a Manticore. Trying to win him over, Park Seo-yoon's like, we've got all the gear you need. But he's not buying it. As a last-ditch effort, she asks if he'd be down to learn from her grandpa. But the dude's like, nah, doesn't matter, leaving her even more puzzled. Not wanting to let him go, she yells, asking about the written test, but he's like, I got this. Then she asks how he plans to raid without being in a hunter academy. The dude's like, joining your academy won't change anything since it's not government approved. Park Seo-yoon's like, we've got the green light and can help you out. And Kim slows down. Seeing this, the hunter's like, we can hook you up with a private training spot. All without charging a dime. Turning to her, the dude's like, what's the catch? When it's too good, you gotta wonder. Determined, she's like, you'll need to compete for the academy and rep us wherever you go. Even tempted, Kim's still cautious and asks why she's so keen on him joining. She replies, I see your potential. They both grin, and the dude's vibing with what he hears. They'll have a pro relationship, using each other's skills, and the dude's like, deal, extending his hand. Park Seo-yoon does the same, and they shake on it, sealing the deal. Next day, Kim's phone's buzzing. It's Mr. Minchell asking what he did to make the work leader switch up so fast. The dude remembers it was the favor he asked the hunter, but asks if the firing wasn't just dodging duties. Laughing, his buddy's like, nah, he'd never do that, but him being gone is a win. Then asks if the dude's headed to the hunter academy yet. Call ends, and Park Seo-yoon rolls up, handing him the temporary license. The young dude's jaw drops when he hears the document was issued just yesterday. He thanks her, still kind of doubting if it's for real. Buzzing with excitement, he admits he's no hunter, but taking that first step feels epic. Kim's all eager to learn and asks the girl if she can show him the ropes for raids. She's like, nah, you don't need that, which totally throws him off. She points to some weapons, telling him to pick whichever feels right, and then they're off. At the spot, the hunter mentions she booked it, thinking he'd need it. Kim kicks off his battle with a rat-like creature. He pauses to ask why Park Seo-yoon tagged along into the dungeon. She says it's like a VIP session for promising students, making him grin. She adds she's there for safety, reminding him not to slack off, even if it's just kobolds. These critters are 2-star, and as they stroll, he's glad the mana defense is a breeze to break through. Kim explains normally mana attacks bounce off a see-through shield, but there's something weird. His non-mana attacks, surprisingly, work like a charm. After some fighting, he checks his phone and sees his lecture progress is climbing. Even if it's not as much as his first fight, it's still worth it since he's raking in cash too. Grinning, he tells Park Seo-yoon he's going to speed things up. He charges in, feeling like he's leveling up in a game. Post-training, the hunter finds him on the ground doing something bizarre, saying his craziness is off the charts. Kim's been staring at a blank black screen since they left the raid, and his quirks don't stop there. Despite being a rookie, he wiped out kobolds like a pro with a decade of experience. Then he did weird workouts while lugging the creatures' bodies when he could have just called for help. In her mind, the girl thinks she can't hide from her grandpa that she's got a student. A student who's now yelling it's past midnight and he hasn't finished his lectures. Checking his phone, he's stoked to see he made $9,510 in one day. Realizing his strategy of hauling and dismantling creatures is super smart, the only snag is the time it takes to wrap up the job. About to cross the street, he wonders if he should hit up Minchul to join him. Deciding to text later, he's focused on figuring out what to do with all that cash. Even though the raid boosted his lecture progress, it wasn't as much as he hoped. So he's got to find a way to get stronger. Maybe as strong as the great sage of heaven, Sun Wukong. Remembering this, instructor sparks a light bulb moment. Now he's got enough dough to pay for the lecture he only got a sneak peek of before. Pumped, he grabs his phone to register. But plot twist, the fee is a whopping 27,000 million bucks. Squatting on the ground, Kim mutters he probably won't have that much, even as a pro hunter. Since he's stuck, he checks if his academy sells gear or other stuff. If he can't watch the lecture now, at least he can stag some equipment. Browsing the store, he's floored. All the gear, even the replicas, are mythical level like Longinus' spear and the Aegis shield. Plus, they're made by top students, meaning they could be crafted by legends. This gets him hyped, and he starts hunting for gear he can use. He picks Longinus' spear as his first buy. The system starts crunching numbers to set the right price. Next day, Park Seo-yoon finds him doing endless push-ups. Curious, she asks why he's so frantic. In his head, he reveals after the causality rate math, the spear's price is a jaw-dropping 100,000 bucks. Out loud, he says it's all about the money in the end. Grinning, the hunter asks if he's heard about the academy competition. As the dude's all, I don't know what this is, the girl spills the tea, saying it's a showdown where schools flex their muscles. Basically, it's a spot to see how buff a gym is. This epic battle's at the 4th league level, and if you crush it, you level up to a higher league. Plus, the gym gets more peeps signing up and some official thumbs up. So the plan is for our guy to rep the dream gym in this epic face-off. Kim's brain's buzzing, thinking this could totally boost his lecture game. I mean, it's like XP in a game, right? So he's all in, saying he's down to join. The girl's like, for real? And he's like, yeah, what's the deal with these battles? Park Seo-yoon breaks it down, saying it's all about raid scores and cadet tourneys. This makes our hero sweat a bit, because he's got 0 monster battle and cred and zilch cadet fight skills. So, if he's going to do this, he's got to bring his A game. He turns to the hunter, asking if she's cool with trading him if she's not busy. Even if she's not sure it's the best move, she nods. Grinning, our dude's stoked because she's got sword star creds. And even if he's a newbie, he's super curious about Park Seo-yoon's power level. The girl's like, you sure? I'm a rank B hunter. And he's all, yeah, just don't wreck me. Ready to rumble, the hunter lets him make the first move, so he charges in, no hesitation. The girl dodges, thinking his speed's cool, but his moves are kinda sloppy. His eyes give away his next move like a neon sign. She's thinking she might have hyped him up too much after the kobold fight. A cadet's still a cadet. She's just wondering where he gets the guts to challenge her like this. Still, she figures one hit from her should wrap it up. But surprise, surprise, Kim blocks her hit like a boss. Shaking, he admits it's tough work. The girl's mind's blown, wondering how he blocked a manic-charged hit. The weapon should have flown out of his hands, ending the match. He jumps back, creating space. The girl's just standing there, mind blown. Chill, he grins and says he's gonna get serious now. They both dive back into the fight, and the hunter's baffled by his faster, sharper moves, totally different from a few minutes ago. Kim's deep in his training memories, remembering the coach's advice about not expecting opponents to just stand there. He should make obvious moves to trigger obvious defenses, while spinning the spear back to himself, repeating until the opponent's wide open for the real hit. So when the moment's right, he just needs to go all out. The hunter's shocked as he charges full throttle, realizing she's in trouble. A crash, then a burst of blue lightning. Still on her feet, she's trying to figure out what just went down. Seeing her student against a cracked wall, she realizes she went full power by accident. The dude gets up saying he's cool and admits he lost. The girl's jaw drops, realizing he really thought he could win against a rank B hunter. Meanwhile, Kim's thinking hunters are on another level, and fighting monsters is a whole different ballgame, and he's got a long way to go when his phone buzzes. Checking it, he sees his lecture progress is up, just as he hoped. Pumped, he asks Park Se-yoon if she's got much going on before the Tony, and she says not really. This is music to his ears, and he asks if they can train whenever they've got free time, 'cause sparring with her is gonna level him up big time. Even though she's kinda sus, the young woman agrees, 'cause she promised to help the dude, saying if he wins, he keeps all the cash. Kim's totally clueless about the prize money and is shook. The hunter spills the tea that the prize is a whopping $100,000. The young dude's face does a 180, leaving the girl curious as he asks when the tourney's happening. Park Se-yoon says it's going down in 2 weeks. The boy's freaking out, thinking he needs to train like crazy. He starts doing squats with a massive rock, making the hunter go, "Whoa!" Trying to help, even though she's lost, she suggests using the sandbags in the corner. In a flash, 2 weeks zoom by, and a young dude with glasses rolls up to the tournament spot. He's all jittery seeing the crowd. He thinks it's wild for regular folks to see hunters battling, and even government peeps might be there. He rolls up to an organizer, deciding to quit stalling and dive in. He quickly finds the participants' waiting room. Clutching his bag, the boy's like, "What now?" He's frozen with nerves. Checking out his rivals, he sees they're all buffs, strong, and oozing confidence. Probably 'cause each school sent their top cadets. But spotting Kim Seo-jun, he sees the guy's only got a beat-up weapon and a fabric spear holder. The other competitors are like, "Who's this country bumpkin?" saying he's probably some poor dude forced to join and a weirdo staring at a blank screen. But to the glasses kid, our hero's a fellow solo player. Gathering his nerve, he goes over and says hi to Kim. He introduces himself as Lee Mingi, also a natural awakened. Even though he's shy, he asks if he can chill near our friendly guy, who says sure after introducing himself too. Chatting about the other competitors, Lee points out the axe dude, Jang Duk-chul, a big shot from Gochuri Academy. The guy's beefing with Lee Choman, a star from Mint Academy. Kim's confused why the dude's explaining so much when he didn't even ask. Suddenly, another guy rolls up and tells the arguing dudes to zip it. It's Lee Jong-won from Revenant Academy. Our hero notices everyone shuts up as soon as the guy speaks. Lee Mingi says he thinks the guy's already won the tournament because he didn't even want to join, saying the comp was weak. Plus, he turned down a recruitment offer from the Sword Star's granddaughter. The glasses kid says he doesn't know why, but if the guy refused, he must be super confident. We dive into Lee Jong-won's thoughts, and he's fuming about being in the tournament. He only joined because his uncle wanted him to take his academy to the 3rd league at least once. But even if he wins, he gets nada, so he should have taken Park Se-yoon's offer. Even if her academy's unknown, she's still the Sword Star's granddaughter and could be handy. Suddenly, a noise grabs his attention. He turns and sees Kim staring at him hard, wondering who this nobody is. Meanwhile, our hero's thinking about how much his skills would level up if they fought. An announcement cuts in, saying the first match is starting and all cadets should get ready. Hearing this makes Lee Mingi nervous, while Kim stands up silently. He's feeling good about your prep over the last 2 weeks. After all, he's got real-life experience from raids and fights with Park Se-yoon. So whether it's monster hunting or dueling, he's ready. But surprise, surprise, the first match is a race in the dungeon maze. They announce the first round's about to kick off. A boy waves to the young man who's a level up and grabs his attention. The man heads over but bumps into a woman first, getting annoyed because it's so packed. He says sorry for the bump. As he gets closer to the young man, he's asked if he knew the woman, and the man says, nah, but she looked a lot like someone he knows. All right, buckle up, 'cause this is going to be epic. So, the kid jumps right in, spilling the deets on the first round of the tournament. The dude's all, bet there are monsters in this maze, and says hunting them is the key to busting out of there. He figures it's a test to see who's got the mad skills for dungeon raids. Watching the action, he notes the cadets are bringing their A-game. Everyone's hyped, eyes glued to the battle, and the two boys are buzzing about how it's a total thrill ride. They're all, Lee Jong-won's got this in the bag. while a girl in a cap listens in. She's getting jittery, wondering why the guy's even there. Then she catches the boy sneaking peeks at her and freaks, hoping she stays under the radar. In the heat of battle, a competitor tries to smash a wall but realizes it's a no-go. He ponders, thinking he's got to do it the old-school way. And if he could use his mountain-crushing power a few times, he'd totally wreck that wall. Scanning the path, he spots a fork with 3 ways to go. He's all, "What's the basic maze hack?" and veers left. Suddenly, something grabs his attention, and he gets this wild feeling. Clueless about it, he's all confused and lost. He's like, "I gotta go the other way, not left," trusting his gut instinct. He takes a few steps, unsure if he's doing the right thing, but he rolls with his gut feeling anyway. Still, something feels off. They announce Cadet Joe Soupman from Scar Academy is out. Confused, the boy's like, "Why is nothing happening to me?" Then he figures his gut's dodging even the monsters. And if he's right, once he hits 100% progress and learns metamorphosis, he'll see the future. While he's deep in thought, someone rolls up and calls him Hyung. They warn him to stay sharp, because you never know when a monster might pop up. Chatting away, the boy asks if Hyung knows something since he's been strutting around so confidently. He adds that wandering a maze without a plan is a recipe for disaster and shares a maze escape trick. The young dude explains the right-hand, left-hand method, but Hyung's like, "Nah, too slow," sticking to his plan. Chill as ever, the kid in the green shirt teases that his buddy's gonna get lost, and the other asks why he's tagging along. Caught off guard, the boy says they're both in the same boat, and he thought the other was flying solo too, so teaming up seems smart. Young's surprised, because he doesn't feel weak at all. Still hanging with the boy, the green shirt guy says he'll show something cool. He whips out his phone, showing a picture of his little sister. Young's like, no clue who she takes after, but she's cute, and starts to leave. The boy clings to his foot, begging him not to bail. He insists it's risky to go solo. Young thinks the kid talks a lot, but did spill some good tea in the waiting room. The boy asks if Hyung's family didn't come to cheer him on. Feeling awkward, Hyung admits his parents are gone, and it's just him and his sis now. Then he realizes he might have overshared and made things awkward. Knowing he can't ditch the kid, he says he can tag along. But he makes it clear the top prize is his, so they're not a team. Hyung speeds up, leaving the green shirt guy struggling to keep up. Laughing, Hyung reminds him he wanted to follow. The kid's shocked, thinking Hyung's too confident to wander without a plan. It's like he already knows the way. They hit a dead end, and the boy barely keeps up. He calls out to Seo-jun, asking if this is it. Then Hyung casually pushes the wall, leaving the other dude stunned. They announced the first to finish the maze did it in just 27 minutes. In the crowd, everyone's jaws hit the floor, wondering how someone finished so fast. Eyes on the winner, and surprise, it's Seo-jun Hyung. Meanwhile, the dude strolls out of the maze, claiming he didn't see any monsters. A spooked Lee Mingi can't wrap his head around how his buddy was so speedy. Results drop, confirming Kim Seo-jun's win. Nobody buys it. They're all shook, thinking maybe the kid's got some secret sauce. Chatter's buzzing, and our main guy's getting annoyed by all the whispers. Suddenly, he spots a red-haired dude standing right in front of him. It's Lee Junwon, and boom, the whispers hit pause. Clueless, the young dude wonders if the guy's got something to spill. But nah, he just asks to pass by and bounces without a word. Chatter's back, and they're saying he just got lucky. The tournament boss shows up, ready to spill the deets on round 2. He says it's gonna be a 1-versus-1 showdown, no mano tricks allowed. But hey, body reinforcement with mana's cool. Plus, if the judges think a cadet's toast, they'll call it. 32 folks made it through round 1, and Seo-jun's curious about the matchups. The organizer's about to reveal the pairs, but a kid raises his hand and says he's out of there, quitting the competition. Nearby, a girl in a cap's relieved, thinking she almost got busted. She ponders Seo-jun's first place, deciding to chill until things settle. But then, a convo catches her ear. She tunes in, hearing dudes chat about the tourney starting at the semis, even with 32 peeps. They say it's 'cause half the folks bailed, and start wondering why. The girl figures they're gamblers, hearing them suggest quitting since Lee Jung-won's got it in the bag. Then, a mysterious figure rolls up with a suitcase full of cash, betting $1 million on Kim Seo-jun. Everyone's floored, asking if she's for real. They call Hyung a lucky kid from some no-name academy dream. Curious, the girl wonders who this mystery person is. Flashback time, showing a boy saying he's out of the tourney. Mingi whispers, it's common in League 4 for folks to drop out. Whispers fly, mostly about Lee Junwon and how he leaves folks limping. And that there are beasts in the comp, making others just stepping stones for the big leagues. So, the dudes decide to bail. Quickly, everyone steps up, saying they're out too. Only 5 brave souls remain. With that, the matchups are set. First up, Kim Seo-jun versus Jang Duk-chul. Next, Lee Junwon versus Lee Mingi. while Lee Choman gets a free pass. Deep in thought, the main guy wonders if he'd top the charts if they hit the finals. Shaking, Mingo's a bundle of nerves, and the main guy asks why. But Seo-jun's chill, not sweating it. He asks his buddy if he's scared of losing before even throwing a punch. And if so, maybe he should bail too. Despite the pep talk, the young guy says he can't quit, and the tourney's ready to roll. The called cadets got ahead to the arena. The main guy's on his way, but Mingi grabs his arm. He asks if the dude's worried, but the guy's cool, just wondering how much XP he's worth. The answer leaves Mingi puzzled, and Seo-jun promises to be back soon. They announce the 63rd Academy Showdown's about to kick off, only the toughest left standing. Entering the arena, the main guy thinks it's wild how everyone bailed. They lay down the rules for the match and introduce the opponent. Duke Cho's all cocky, saying he made it just to face him. They give the go-ahead for round 2. Annoyed, the axe-wielding giant says Seo-jun's gonna regret it and charges in. Nearby, Mingi spots the fight starting, wondering if his buddy's got this. But then he realizes it's not the time to worry about others. He decides to focus on his own battle against Lee Junwan, and remembers his buddy's words, asking if he'd worry about losing before even trying. Then Mingi starts thinking, it's not just young Dukeshil and Lee Shoman he's up against, but also cadets from big shot academies. Feeling scared, he thinks maybe he should just quit. But then his eyes lock onto the battlefield, and he sees the fight was over in a flash. And boom, Kim Seo-jun was the champ of that battle. Chunlin calls the opponents trash and says they're just having fun playing with each other. The story rewinds to show the boys fight. The opponent grabs his weapon and charges in for the attack. As expected, Cadet Duke Schultz got mad strength, but Cadet Seo-jun is dodging those attacks like it's no big deal. Everyone sees he didn't make it to round 2 just by luck. Duke Schultz keeps attacking like a machine, but his energy's dropping, yet the boy's defending like it's nothing. Annoyed, the dude asks why his attacks aren't landing. He decides to go for a mega hit and yells, asking if the hero can dodge it. But as he swings, the boy sends the opponent's weapon flying with ease. Plus, with that force, Dukeshil hits the ground, totally shocked by what just happened, blowing everyone's minds. The match wraps up. The opponent's in shock, realizing he lost to his rival. After the win, Hyung checks his phone, bummed that the progress bar barely moved. He also sees the free license days are ticking down. Kim Seo-jun knows he's got to hustle to buy a weapon and renew the free license. So he figures he's got to win that cash prize. No other way. Back in the room, he sees Mingi all jittery and asks why, while the boy says he's freaked out by his friend's power. Laughing, Hyung asks when he ever said he was weak. Still, the buddy says it was epic, but the convo gets cut off with the second fight announcement. They call Lee Mingi and Lee Junghwan. Teasing, the red-haired boy bumps the opponent and tells him to move. Before hitting the battlefield, Mingi calls Kim Seo-jun and asks if he remembers saying they were similar. The boy confirms that when he met his friend in the labyrinth, he felt a bond and was stoked to see his buddy beat the rival. Still chatting, he admits he's a guy with no luck, no talent, and not super strong. But he dreams of being a big bro his sis can be proud of. They call for Mingi again, and he says he's coming. Before leaving, the hero tells him to give it his all, and shouts, promising to see his buddy in the finals. Nervous, the kid in the green shirt repeats to himself that he can do it. Annoyed, Junwan asks what the opponent's mumbling about. The judge says he'll go over the rules again before the fight kicks off. Ready to rumble, the red-haired boy stares at Mingi, and he shakes with fear. Junwan thinks he can tell without fighting that the opponent's just prey. A useless dude who only knows how to get hunted, a creature at the bottom of the food chain, and that he's nothing but a snack for a predator like him. Still in his head, the boy thinks the opponent got there by luck and should know his place. He also figures he should have come first in both tournaments since he's way different from those he calls trash. Holding a sword, the red-haired kid wonders what the heck that was, and if that useless pest really thought he could win. Impatient, he asks the ref when they can start. The narrator gets ready to announce the second round of the tournament. Mingi thinks if his friend did it, he can too. But Junwan's piped and says there's no point dragging out the tournament. The order's given to start the fight. The red-haired boy doesn't waste a second and attacks, saying he'll wrap it up in a flash. As expected, the boy kicks off with fury and quick, sharp attacks. On the flip side, Cadet Mingi seems cornered and might not meet expectations. Teasing, Junwan says if the opponent's a pest, he should act like one. The attack's super strong and makes the boy with glasses bleed. In pain, he drops to the ground. Down, Mingi wonders if he'll lose the duel, and he thinks it's not about winning or losing and figures he stands no chance against the opponent. But his thoughts start to shift, and he thinks about the pride he wants to give his little sister. He keeps saying he wants to be as strong as Seo-jun Hyung, like, on repeat. Then, out of nowhere, he starts getting up, and everyone's jaws hit the floor. Fueled by the winner-nothing vibe, he figures one good hit is all he needs. Facing Jongwon, he's all about making sure his attack lands. He charges with his sword, swings, but can't go full power. Flat on the ground, the narrator hands the win to the red-haired dude. In the stands, everyone's buzzing about what just went down, throwing in their 2 cents. The whispers keep going as the rivals stare each other down. Some folks crack jokes about Junwon showing off after beating a weakling. They're not buying his hype. Feeling the heat, the boy tells the ref he's out. Then he knees the guy on the floor right in the face. Ticked off, he's done with this circus and calls the tournament a joke for letting fools in. The ref's like, "Why, dude? The fight's over," and says he'll step in if it keeps up. He's like, "I'm out of here," and wonders if anyone else is sick of the clowns in the ring. Still fuming, he stomps on the downed guy's head, and he's about to throw another punch when the hero jumps in to save his buddy. Zhang's been waiting, but since they're going to clash in the finals anyway, he's jumping the gun, saying the jerk deserves a smackdown right now. Seojun yells for the dude to back off. He's confused, so the hero's like, "Get your foot off my friend's head, bro." All cocky, he's like, "What if I don't?" Then he gets shoved hard by the hero, who rushes to check on Mingi, asking if he's awake. Jinwon's all sarcastic, calling it a touching tale of losers. Seeing his buddy waking up, the hero charges and demands to know why he stopped on his friend. The guy's like, "Because he's a loser who doesn't know his place." Staring him down, the hero asks if losers can't dream, but the guy just keeps mocking. In the stands, people are buzzing about the chaos, wondering why no one's stepping in. The refs are like, "Why can't we stop this?" But say it's orders from above. The girl in the cap watches the fight, whispering Seojun's name. In the heat of it, the hero's like, "Didn't know you were this dumb." Junwon's all, "Let me school you, loser. Only the strong survive." And he's like, "You gotta crush others. No room for dreams here." Adding, "That's just how the world rolls." The hero's like, "I used to think that too." For 9 long years, he's been grinding to be a pro hunter, facing reality's walls, even blaming himself for being broke or talentless. Hard work kept him afloat, but nothing got better. Plus, he says clinging to unsolvable stuff is just sad. He's asked himself a million times if quitting would change things. He asks the ref to look after Mingi. Seojun admits fear held him back, making him doubt himself. As he walks, the ref calls out to him, but he ignores it, facing his rival, asking what's the deal, and says it's not something he can judge or belittle. The ref's freaking out, warning him it's against the rules. But he doesn't care. Keeps attacking, even as everyone begs him to stop. Chill, the red-haired guy's unfazed, calling it all a joke. Then the hero swings at the rival, who blocks it. Annoyed, Janwon calls him a filthy pest, and the hero fires back, calling him the real bug. They dive into a full-on battle. The hero sees the guy's strong, not shocked people hype him up. But right now he can't dwell on that. Can't afford distractions. He knows he's got to move on instinct alone. They keep clashing, weapons flying. The ref's still trying to step in, asking what's the point, while the red-haired guy tells him to back off. And he thinks he sees predator eyes in the guy he calls a filthy pest. So, this dude's all, anyone can chat about dreams like that. But he's curious if the other guy will keep yapping when reality hits, while throwing a punch. Boom! The main dude blocks it, and everyone's jaws drop. Junwon's like, "Wait, did I just imagine that?" And he's all, "This kid's leveling up with every block." It's like watching a monster grow right in front of him. The fight's getting crazier by the second. Out of nowhere, the main dude shoves the other guy, who goes full rage mode. No chill, he whips out a sword with aura, leaving Seojun shook. The kid's thinking he's toast since he can't even control mana yet. Everyone's freaking out, yelling for Genwan to chill, trying to stop the kid who's lost it, threatening to KO the other guy. Knowing it's risky, the main dude's brain says, "Run, dude, run!" But his heart's not into it. He feels like running means ditching everything he's worked for. They chat about the Chu Kingdom and the tunes blasting from everywhere. He recalls a student asking why he soloed the enemy line. And they were spot on. 'Cause it was a done deal. A lost cause. No way out alive. He admits it was the first time he was scared stiff, thinking he might lose. Still, he fought 'cause it was a must-do. He goes on, saying even if losing's a sure thing, you gotta fight and believe it a win. Shang Yu fought. They warned that even with mountain-crushing power, he can't win without it. He lost. And that's how he became the hegemon king. The power to crush mountains started moving them, and the spirit to change the world will rule it. Pumped up, the main dude decides to fight and charges at the opponent. Fearless, the red-haired kid's all, "I'm a predator, and you're toast." Then he rushes in, telling the opponent to just drop already. A wild battle kicks off with epic blows flying everywhere. The hits are so intense, everyone in the arena's knocked down, and smoke's everywhere. Everyone's buzzing, wondering who snagged the win. As the dust clears, they spot Seojun standing, while the other guy's down, looking rough. The crowd goes nuts at the epic scene. Everyone's chanting the main dude's name together. The girl in the cap's mind blown, knowing 2 weeks ago, the kid couldn't even handle an imbued sword, and now he's rocking an aura spear. As she checks out the battlefield, she spots a mysterious figure nearby. She recognizes it's the person she saw at the betting center earlier. Then the hood drops, revealing the mysterious bettor's face. Who's all, "How's this even possible?" The girl's like, "Yeah, I'm surprised too, but chill, dude." And she's all, "You're acting like some cosmic rule just got wrecked." Still pondering, she remembers the guy bet on Seo-jun, and when she looks, poof, he's gone. The girl's stunned to see the guy vanished. Battered. The main dude meets a guy who says he's been booted, and even though the opponent went overboard, he had already bailed from the tournament. Plus, the main dude jumped in when it wasn't an official match and ignored the ref's warnings, so his actions broke the tournament rules. The main dude's cool with it, saying he was ready for this when he jumped in, but wonders what's up with Junhwan. They tell him Junhwan's obviously out, and that using an aura sword was straight-up attempted murder. Plus, he's probably getting banned from the exam for 5 years. Because of all this, Lee Choman snagged the tournament win by default, with Mingi in second and Duke Scholl in third. After all the chaos, Seo-jun checks his progress rate and thinks it's all good since it shot up big time. He notices it skyrocketed during the fight with Junhwan, and Xiang Yu's lecture progress hit over 50%. The kid recalls the weird power he felt before, and thinks it might have popped up thanks to the lecture rate. Decided he's thinking about catching another lecture when someone taps his shoulder. It's Miss Seo-yun calling for him. Worried, she asks if he's hurt and if he's okay. Seeing he's chill, the girl feels relieved. The main dude says sorry to the girl, and she's all confused. He mentions he could have won but got sidetracked, and she's like, no need to apologize. She just wants to know if he's okay and thought he was all about that cash prize. The boy admits it's true, and Seo-yun realizes he totally spaced on it. Then she asks what he was going to do with the prize money. Seo-jun says he wanted to snag a weapon, but he's chill with not getting the cash. Still, he admits he'd be lying if he said he didn't regret it, but he'd regret not stepping in even more. He starts saying the money thing will sort itself out, but Mingi interrupts, calling his name. The boy, looking pretty beat up, comes over and asks if his buddy's leaving, and he says that's the plan. Thinking hard, the boy in the green shirt wonders if he'll be like his friend if he keeps grinding. Seo-jun honestly says it's going to be tough, and he thinks Mingi's skills are way behind for going pro as a hunter. Hard work can do wonders, but the world can be a real beast. He advises the boy not to get too hung up on being a hunter, but he can totally rock something else. Mingi agrees his friend is spot on. Then he says he just came to say goodbye. Feeling all the feels, he thanks Hyung for everything. Before heading out, the main dude tells him not to get bummed out and not to let anyone say he can't do it. People will say he can't and that he'll never make it. But he needs to remember that others' opinions aren't the real deal, and if he wants something, he should go all out for it. After the pep talk, Mingi says he'll come back to visit with his sis someday. Xianyan says that side of the boy caught her off guard, and she loves how he jumps into things uninvited, and that's why she's a fan. Then the main dude realizes he should have told the boy about Dream Academy. He keeps moving while Seo-yun thinks about how he talked about the academy like it was theirs. Then she yells that the friend has worked hard and she'll buy him a weapon. Somewhere else, a young guy shows up and asks if the director's around. They nod but say he's meditating. The young guy says it's urgent and they need to let him know he's there. Ignoring the guards, he barges in and tells the director he's Seo Moon-chul. Annoyed, the director says he made it clear not to let anyone in, and asks if the guy's ignoring his orders. With that, Moon-chul starts feeling the heat and can't move. Struggling to speak, he says Miss Seo-yun was in the recent academy tournament. The info leaves the director puzzled, wondering if he heard right. They say they're still gathering details, but it seems she recruited a new student. The guy says he can handle it, but the director says no way, he needs to see what this new guy's all about. A billing pops up and someone's counting. It's Seo-jun training, and after finishing, he says he nailed the daily task. Miss Seo-yun shows up and stands behind him. He turns and says he can tell when someone's staring at him hard from behind. The girl says he was super picky at the equipment shop and didn't buy anything. The main dude says he thought the gear was a bit over the top. A bit annoyed, she says he's not the type to say no or care about others' opinions, but he thinks he can't settle for regular weapons after seeing transcendent ones. He figures instead of buying a spear, he could ask for 20,000 in cash. The girl reminds him she was footing the bill, and chances like that don't come often. Continuing, she asks what kind of mana cultivation technique he uses, and that he needs to learn a technique to handle mana. Seo-yun explains that since he beats monsters, he clearly can handle mana, and since he fought in the tournament, he doesn't seem low class. The info leaves him a bit puzzled since he never learned any cultivation technique. They explain what they mean by talking about mana cultivation techniques. And there are so many different forms, split into high class and low class based on how efficient they are. Every hunter's got their own special moves. Some even have patents like they're inventors or something. Seojin thinks that's why he tried to get into a fancy academy, but he asked the girl if they teach that technique there. She says, nope, her grandpa banned it, like it's some forbidden magic. But she spills the beans on a technique she made up herself. The info blows the protagonist's mind, and he asks if she really did it solo, and she nods. She wonders why he's asking, and he says he's just curious. No biggie. Honestly, he thought she was talentless or maybe hyped up to Sword Saint levels. But he knows she's right, because mana cultivation is Hunter 101. The protagonist knows he's got time to chill and hit another lecture, so he picks one about mana. Annoyed because he dodged her question, the girl bails on him. Confused, Seojun asks where she's off to, and she says she's got stuff to do. Joking, the protagonist says he's shocked she's got plans. Seriously, she tells him to lock up if he leaves before she's back. He says no worries, and starts thinking about which lecture to hit next. Before that, he wonders when the mentor will show up, 'cause that'd be super helpful. After leaving, the girl feels bummed and admits she's been kind of bored lately. They start explaining what mana is. In a world with strict rules, mana's like the ultimate rule breaker. They tell the boy that once he gets mana, he'll see the world differently. Focused, the lecture rolls on, and they say once he finishes, he'll get the sermon. The protagonist feels like he's going to go nuts, but in a different way than those Buddha talks. In class, the instructor says no more hand-holding. It's time to DIY. The daily task, make 1,000 mana orbs. Determined, Seojun thinks he should at least give it a shot. He figures he can do it thanks to Kairon's lessons. Feeling and controlling mana isn't too hard. But focused, he admits it's tricky, 'cause he can feel mana but can't shape it yet. In the lecture, they say using mana is linking the mind's world to the real world, and that he's taking something imagined and making it real by tricking the world, bringing it to life like it's following nature's rules. The best example? Nowhere else but here. After the explanation, something starts forming in his hands, and he's amazed. Suddenly, a mana orb pops up in his hands. He checks out the tiny thing. Worried it's too small, he wonders if it even counts for the daily task. But the protagonist is sure he'll get better with time. Suddenly, the master bursts in and calls for the boy, who jumps. He wonders who this guy is. The gentleman asks if he's the Sword Saint, but he thinks he's here to check out the new student at Seoyun's academy. However, he spots the mana in his hands and gets puzzled. Still thinking, he knows that form's tough to pull off and must mean serious talent. And there's only one reason a talented person would want to join Dream Academy. Quickly, the old man assumes the boy's plotting to use his granddaughter. Annoyed, he yells, asking who the boy is. Confused, the protagonist says, "Nice to meet you, sir," and introduces himself as Kim Seojun. Still shocked, the boy says he never thought Seoyun's grandpa would just pop up, only saw him online. Then he asks if he came to see his granddaughter, but she just left. The old man stays grumpy, and the boy realizes he wasn't there for her. Confused, the master asks how the protagonist's so chill, and he explains he's giving off killer vibes, and only an S-class hunter wouldn't be frozen. Seojun is puzzled and asks if that's the unwavering heart's effect, while the grandpa asks his purpose there. Not getting it, the main dude asks the old guy what he means by that. To speed things up, the old guy says someone like the boy would be welcome anywhere, so he's confused why he's near Seoyun. Freaked out by what he sees, the boy says there's a huge mix-up going on. He knows the situation is pretty sketchy. The old guy decides to attack and throw some major power at the young dude. Stressed out, Seojun tries to defend himself as best as he can. Meanwhile, at the temple, the girl shows up and is shocked her grandpa isn't there. She asks when he'll be back, but the secretary's got no clue. Bummed out. The girl's sad, because she wanted to chat with her grandpa about the boy. Meanwhile, her grandpa keeps pushing the main dude, demanding to know why he's there. At the temple, the girl keeps looking for her grandpa. Thinking hard, she knows she can't keep secrets anymore and can't hide the boy. And she's decided to face the problem since it's gotta happen sooner or later. Suddenly, a young dude calls her over. It's Counselor Seo, who says it's rare to see her at the main clan's crib. But he was about to hit her up right then. Confused, she says she came to see her grandpa. Then she finds out the director went to her academy. Panicking, she bolts out of there. No one gets why she's in such a rush. She runs as fast as she can, blaming herself for letting her guard down, and she's freaking out, thinking she can't let them meet without her there. Meanwhile, at the academy, Seojun's wondering what's going down. He's shocked to see the man swinging the sword without even unsheathing it. The main dude thinks he just wants to hold him back, not take him out. Still raging, the old guy keeps asking who the boy is, who swears it's just a mix-up. But the director's not buying it and says the boy showed mana and made a move, so it can't be a mix-up. Yelling, he says the boy's just spitting empty lies. Seojun tries to chill the old guy out, saying he doesn't know what his granddaughter said, but he gets called a scoundrel by the director, still clueless about what's happening. With lightning in his eyes, the man says he wanted to hear him out, but he knows the boy's lying. They keep staring each other down, and the main dude gets that the old guy won't listen. And he knows if the Sword Saint really wanted him gone, he'd be toast already. Still trying to defend himself, the boy knows the old guy's the closest to his ideals, figuring it's a big chance for him. Still on edge, the director calls the boy a scoundrel again, noticing the vibes changed. He knows he's met tons of hunters over the years, but only one whose eyes stayed fierce after facing him. And because of that, the boy must be pretty skilled. The old guy yells again, asking why the boy got close to his granddaughter. They both dive into hand-to-hand combat with swords. Trying to defend himself, the main dude says he can't feel or see the opponent's moves. The attack keeps going, but the young dude knows it's a level he can't even start to get. But he wants to see how long he can hang in there. They start fighting with swords, and the old guy says it's super basic. And to get out of it, all he has to do is answer his question. But the boy knows it's not just that and something's missing. He knows he can't let it end like that and just needs a bit more. No trick's gonna work. And his only shot is while the old guy's going easy on him. Soju knows he's got one shot and has to wrap it up with one hit, but doesn't know how. A new attack comes, and while fighting, he remembers the tips from the mana lecture. That's the best he can do right now. He lands a super strong hit, and lights flash everywhere. But the main dude ends up on his knees on the ground. Hurt? He says it hurt a lot while getting called a punk. The old guy says the boy's mask is off, but he defends himself, saying he got attacked first. Talking makes him hurt more, and he just wonders when Seo Yoon will be back. The boy's words make the director even more ticked off. He says he'll personally gift the boy with a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Suddenly, the girl bursts through the door, yelling that she's had enough of this nonsense. In a panic, she asks what her grandpa's up to. Worried about the boy, she checks if he's okay, but sees he's all banged up. The boy says he's not seriously hurt, but man, it stings a lot. The old man, being all sarcastic, calls the boy weak, but the boy claps back. The director, super mad, asks what he's on about and calls him a rascal again. The girl figures out what's going on and gets scared. She says she's never seen anyone stand up to her grandpa and wonders why her buddy's getting smacked around. Then she begs her grandpa to stop hitting the boy. Feeling bad, she apologizes for dragging the boy into this mess, and he says it's cool, just some scratches. Still upset, she promises to explain later and asks for 1,000,000 apologies. Calmer now, Seo-jin says he should hit up the hospital for a checkup. Seo Yoon agrees and tells him not to sweat the treatment costs. The boy decides to bounce while she thanks him for understanding. Fuming, she glares at her grandpa and calls him over for a chat. The girl thinks she's ready to confront her grandpa, but face to face, she's speechless. After hearing the boy's suspicious, the young woman yells she's not. She gets all thoughtful, saying she's heard that for 31 years, and her grandpa always ignored her. Even with the Hunter's Academy she started, she wasn't free from the old dude. He messed things up whenever she got new students. Seo Yoon says she knows her grandpa's tricks and why people really come there. And that's why she couldn't stop the students from leaving. But her thoughts get cut off by her grandpa, who orders her to end it all, and she says no way. Concluding that Seo Yoon is different from the rest, the grandpa asks what she said, and she replies she doesn't want to let the boy go. They start arguing, and Seyeon questions why everything's got to be her grandpa's way, and that the academy's hers, not the old man's. The girl thinks she has nothing with the boy, no special feelings, but feels weird whenever she sees him. She wants to hang out with him more. Annoyed, the director says it's not tantrum time, but the granddaughter keeps arguing, and says she wants to figure out what she feels for the boy. Going all in, she says she doesn't want to live in the old man's shadow forever. Soon after, she regrets it and apologizes for yelling. But this time, it wouldn't be her grandpa's way. The old man tries to call his granddaughter, but she's already out the door. He gets all thoughtful, wondering if she's ever spoken up so strongly, and that this is a dungeon break. A dragon pops out, unleashing chaos, and people in the streets run like crazy. They rush to tell the director about the incident. He remembers his son, lost to a sudden dungeon break, and decided his granddaughter would have less strength to defend herself alone. That's why he was so strict with her. Even though she hated fencing, he taught her. And even though it wasn't her dream, he kept teaching her. Controlling. The old man said she had to listen to him. After years of pushing her down, he knew the gap was growing, but ignored it on purpose. And that was the result of all those years of oppression. A big rebellion. Nearby, Seo Jun strolls and says he's all healed up, so tasks shouldn't be a problem. As he walks, he remembers the Sword Saint's attack and thought he was a goner, and that he didn't know Miss Seo Yoon had all that history. The night before, the girl called the protagonist and spilled the tea on her story, her current situation and her grandpa drama, as well as what happened with the past students. However, the boy's sure she didn't spill everything, but got her feelings and why the old man was hostile. But that doesn't mean he wasn't rude. Lost in thought, he wishes he could get an apology from the Sword Saint. He checks the system and sees a progress boost for getting attacked. Deep in thought, he figures, although it was rude, it could have been worse. Then he arrives at a spot and greets the folks inside. It's the director who asks why the boy's just standing there, and invites him to sit, leaving the protagonist worried about another attack. A young dude with dark hair and an older guy with a white beard are chilling in a big room, sealing a deal. The air's thick with tension as the old dude questions the boy's honesty, making him visibly annoyed. Even though the boy seemed straight up, the old guy doubted his skills, 'cause he was just a student. Out of nowhere, Seojin Kim asks if he can bounce. That's when he'd kick off his training for the day. Feeling sus, the old man decides to spy on the young dude's training to see what he's hiding. With his serious yet soft gaze, he oozes authority and experience while jumping to conclusions about Seojin Kim. He spots something off with the main dude, who can't stop staring at his phone's white screen. Curious, he asks if the boy's meditating or something. Raising his voice, he stresses how important meditation is, like it's a mind workout. Realizing he got ghosted, the old man notes he was totally ignored. Determined, he offers to show the young dude some moves, but he only did that to get more attention from the boy. Still, the boy wasn't into his lessons, saying the old man was messing with his focus. Suddenly, a girl strolls in, dropping a cheerful good morning. Seeing her grandpa there, Seo-yoon's like, "What's he up to?" Confused, she asks what he was doing there. With a suspicious look, he wonders if the girl knows any secrets about the main dude. Ranting, he goes on about how weird it is that the boy's not into his epic teachings. To him, everything about the main dude screams Seuss. But the young girl says that's just how he rolls. Same old, same old. She already knew the old man would be suspicious about Seojin Kim. At first, it was tough for the girl to get used to it. Walking over to the main dude, she announces she's there. The two start chatting all chill. Meanwhile, the old guy with the white beard watches, looking all grumpy. He can't believe that even while talking nonsense, Seo-yoon's all smiles. Calmly, the two keep chatting and cracking up together. He's never seen the young girl so happy as she is right now. Usually, she's super serious, but not today. Seeing their happy faces, the old man gets even more annoyed with his granddaughter. Suddenly, a guard pops up at the door, calling for the master. The dude's got urgent news to share. Shortly after, he says the Order of Truth is asking about the leader. But the old man brushes it off, saying if it was that big a deal, they'd come to him. However, when he hears the request is from Lady Kalia, his interest flips. Plus, the girl had another request, wanting Seojin Kim to show up. Everyone's eyes are on the young dude, who's totally confused. Nervous, he wants to make sure they're talking about him. The main dude's clueless why Kalia wants him. Tension spikes as the young dude's grilled about the Order of Truth, while others mull over the mystery. Seo-yoon thinks about a hooded guy at the tournament who seems super Seuss. The questions swirl around the Order of Truth in Kalia's role, but the main dude's got no clue. Confused, he doesn't even know if he should get involved. Seo-yoon explains that Kalia's going to be the next apostle of purity, and ignoring her would be a big no-no. Amidst the suspicions, the young dude says he's never heard of that lady, and would rather train. Right then, the guard's like, "Kalia's amazing," leaving everyone puzzled. Surprised, the dude says she already knew Seojin Kim would turn her down. To sweeten the deal, she offers 100 million won if he shows up. Hearing that, the young dude's instantly interested, realizing she knew he needed that exact cash. The Order of Truth is a religious squad that literally worships the truth. They're led by a mysterious dude known as the Exalted Voice and the Seven Apostles. Their word is the truth, so basically, it's gospel. 100 years ago, the Order was just a cult. During the Great Cataclysm, loads of heroes teamed up with them. Their influence grew as they brought peace to humanity, especially with their biggest win, taking down Berserk the Terrible, a monster that showed up at the end of the Great Cataclysm. So terrifyingly strong that even the world's top generals couldn't beat him. So dreadful that his arrival was marked as the Second Great Cataclysm. He was finally defeated by the Exalted Voice and the Seven Apostles, ending the Great Cataclysm. And the gaze world, at a hotel chilling on the edge of Seoul. These two dudes are all set to meet Lady Kalia. A shadowy figure pops up saying Seojin Kim's the VIP they've been waiting for. Pointing the way, he says Lady Kalia's been super patient. Our main guy's all puzzled, thinking about the cash offer and why he's even here. They trail behind the hooded dude while he wonders what these peeps know about him. He's all in, needing to chat with Kalia to get the 411. The wait's driving the old dude nuts. Sure, the lady's gonna make them hang. The young dude's like, "How close are we to Kalia?" But then his face goes, "Wait, what?" when he finds out the old dude hasn't even met her yet. Old dude spills he met the Purity Apostle during the big cataclysm, but not the new crew. Young dude's like, "Oh snap, I keep forgetting this guy's the Sword Star, not just Seo-yoon's grandpa." He asks about the Exalted Voice, learning he only showed up in the Berserk battle. Curious, Seojin Kim's all, "Did you meet him?" But nope, old dude only saw him from afar. Bummer. Then they hear a noise. Lady Kalia rolls up, all, "Nice to finally meet you guys." Old dude's ticked, saying he hates being summoned and waiting forever. With a boss vibe, that's Kalia, disciple of purity. She struts in style, saying purifying mind and body takes patience and devotion. Kalia's all about the order of truth, spreading the divine word. She gives Seojin Kim props for showing up, showing mad respect. Surprised, the main guy's like, "How do you know me?" She promises to clear things up. Kalia talks about the Academy tournament, hyping him up, saying a faithful spoke highly of him, even though he's confused to boys buying him. But the apostles got more plans to share. Her big goal, check out a sketchy dungeon with their help. Old dude's lost, stammering for a bit. Kalia says some stuff ain't over, making him think hard. There's a weird thing in a Korean dungeon, and the Order of Truth's all about checking it out. Old dude's weighing his options. Now he's getting why Kalia's in Korea. Seeing her game plan, he knows this could boost her as a successor. Kalia laughs, knowing nothing gets past the Sword Star. Before saying yes, he asks what's in it for him. The serious gray-haired dude hears about the Hunter Academy run by his granddaughter. His face screams rage when Kalia says the Order of Truth could end it all in a snap. Seeing where this is going, Seojin Kim feels his body going numb. With his granddaughter in the mix, the Sword Star's eyes are blazing. Kalia, poking the bear, apologizes with a cheeky grin. Old dude fires back with a furious look. In the end, the disciple leaves a favor open for later. Not trusting her word, she offers to swear by the Order of Truth. They both agree, making the oath of truth. Then she turns to the nervous Seojin Kim. Getting straight to it, Lady Kalia says the Order of Truth wants to sponsor him. He can stay at the academy, but he'll find new chances with them. Seojin's suspicious, asking what he has to give back. But Kalia, with her chill smile, says they just want to be buds. The boy thinks this no-strings deal might be trouble later. So, he decides to grill Kalia, looking for honest answers. With a kind look, she promises to answer all his questions. Suddenly, Seojin Kim mentions the transcendent, but freezes up. No point asking since he can't judge Kalia's honesty. He decides to test her another way, reaching into his pocket. Showing something on his phone, the disciple's totally captivated. Seojin Kim asks what she's seeing on the screen. She doesn't answer, still checking out the image. They say the soul's the real deal, and if that's true, the body can change. But if the soul's the same, it's still the same person. Confused, she's totally lost on what she's supposed to do. But the dude keeps pushing her. Kalia thinks it's a weird question, and it's super confusing too. After a bit, Seojin Kim puts his phone away, realizing she's not gonna spill the beans. His face changes when he hears Kalia say the screen was blank. Grinning, he asks if that's what the main character expected, and he nods. Kalia's more interested in the real deal, wondering if he'd take the sponsorship. Surprising the lady, the dude says he's not feeling it right now. Scene switch, and the disciples checking out the city from her window. Kalkas, her sidekick, says they couldn't track down the weird stuff. They keep chatting, and Kalia's not buying what the guy saw earlier. Thinking back, she remembers Seojin Kim's moves that afternoon, feeling something was off about him. Kalia decides they should skip killing the other apostles and just watch the weirdness in the dungeon. The sidekick mentions the heroes Young-song and Am-seong are still MIA, making the lady worry. Outside, the old dude asks why he turned down the offer. Not dragging it out. These days, it's rare, so most folks don't even know it can happen. Hearing it was common during the big cataclysm, Seojin gets all thoughtful. Remembering Kalia's words about something unfinished, he freaks out, but the old dude calms him down. Meanwhile, the guy heads away from Seoyun's academy, not wanting any interruptions. He pauses for a second. Looking at Seojin Kim, he warns the kid not to mess around, or he'd regret it big time. The old dude with the white beard is watching the young guy, keeping tabs on his every move. When compared to Seoyun for not being real about his feelings, the old dude gets ticked off. Seeing his face change with the joke, the young guy bolts to the academy. Seojin Kim knew chatting with that guy was no walk in the park. Opening the door, he announces he's back at the academy, surprising Seoyun. Curious, she asks about her grandpa who went out with him, but the young guy assures her, saying she doesn't need to stress about it. The girl says sorry for her grandpa's antics, knowing he can be a handful. The girl is stunned when Seojin Kim says he trusts the man's good intentions, even if he can't show them. With determination, he says they gotta help him together. Seeing her friend's support, Seoyun smiles, thankful for his help. For a moment, they're awkward, just staring at each other. Switching topics, she mentions she heard he needed cash. Thinking about recent stuff, he gets jittery after realizing he used Kalia's money to clear debts. While he was gone, Soo-young did some digging and found something to help him out. It was the 24th dungeon cleaning contest. Handing the phone to the young guy, he checks out the money-making chance with interest. Seo-jin Kim is shocked to find out about the dungeon cleaning contest with a 300 million prize. Next to him, Seo-yoon explains, it's a contest to clean up old, forgotten dungeons. She says the aim is to get hunters to raid dungeons with lame rewards. During the cataclysm, they fought out of duty. Now pro hunters chase cash, dodging ignored dungeons. Ignored dungeons make dangerous rifts, letting monsters loose, causing chaos and destruction. Even weak monsters are a threat to people, causing panic and cries for help. There used to be a group to handle this, but they wasted resources on seasoned hunters. So, the government made the dungeon cleaning contest as a backup plan. Many uncleared dungeons can be tackled by students, adding a competitive edge between schools. Seo-yoon thinks the warrior could win the tournament without much hassle. Thinking about the big prize and leveling up fast, Seo-jin Kim agrees to join in. The hero knew the girl got his needs without him even asking. But he was pondering the fact that it was a competition, so anything could go down, and he shouldn't take it easy. Curious, he asked what the contest rules were. Seo-yoon explains it lasts a week where the government reveals the dungeons reserved by the app. The reserved dungeons must be finished in 10 hours. If not, they're automatically canceled. In the end, it's all about blasting through dungeons as fast as possible. Speed's the name of the game. In her explanations, the main character hits a snag. Storming the dungeon and hauling bodies, speed might not be the magic trick. Realizing the mess he made, Seo-yoon tries to clear things up, saying the invasions weren't cash cows. Spotting the dude trying to make bank with his contacts again, she's totally shook. Seo-yoon tells him to ditch that idea and focus on the big win. Now she gets his struggle, stuck between the prize and the cash from the bodies. But the main guy knows the cash prize is a big deal and can't get sidetracked by small stuff. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head. Checking his phone, he decides to peep the rules again. A few days later, the sky's all blue and chill on contest day. Checking the system, the dude sees his grinds paying off. Progress bars going up. While getting ready, Seo-yoon wants to make sure the warrior's got the app and is good to go. The dude called a buddy to help with the mission, but the buddy's MIA. While the boy's comparing him to the sword star, the guest's making a slow-mo entrance. Spotting his buddy Manticore, the dude waves like a maniac to get noticed. Surprised, Seo-jin Kim stoked his buddy showed up early. Manticore jokes he didn't want to hear any whining if he was late. Switching gears, he asks the main guy what's next on the agenda. A few days back, the dude hit up Manticore. The boy pitched a gig where the man would haul monsters and be his personal Uber. Seo-jin would lug the bodies, and Manticore would handle the messy stuff since it took forever. The man was down, but wanted to make sure it wasn't a buzzkill. Grinning, the warrior tells his buddy to chill, he'd be a lifesaver. Chopping up monsters for cash takes skill. And with Manticore on board, Seo-jin's got zero stress. Checking his phone, he sees the dungeon cleaning contest just kicked off. Saying bye to Seo-yoon, the guys head out for the gig. Manticore's got all the contest deets thanks to his buddy's info dump. Winning's all about hitting the biggest dungeons, and it's all about speed. The two biggies are how fast you can clear a raid and how quick you can hit the dungeons. Most dungeons are just 1 or 2-star threats, so the main guy's worried about the layout shuffle. Deep in thought, the buddy listens closely to his partner's game plan. Checking the phone, he scopes out each contest dungeon and their spots. His job's to find the fastest route between them all. For Seo-jin Kim, his buddy's quicker and sharper than any GPS, so they buckle up and Manticore floors it in the truck. Meanwhile, Soo-jin's on supervisor duty. Checking the system, she spots a new player, Seo-jin Kim from Dream Hunters Academy. Seeing it's some random kid from a no-name school, she figures it'll take him an hour. In front of her, Manticore's chilling with a drink, waiting outside. The portal starts acting all weird. Seo-jin Kim pops his head out and tells his buddy he's ready to roll. Soo-jin warns it's a big no-no for anyone to help in a raid, but the player knows all the rules. Actually, his raid's already done, and he asks the supervisor to double-check. Soo-jin can't believe some random kid nailed it so fast. Entering the dungeon, she sees the kid was right. Bodies everywhere. Turning around, she figures the mission wrapped up in minutes. Meanwhile, he's hauling all the bodies on his back. Totally confused, she thinks it's super weird. Outside, Manticore's waiting for his buddy. All chill. Dropping the body, the two keep grinding. In 15 seconds, almost all the chopping's done. The supervisor sees the man's ready to slice and dice. For her, it's a big headache. Technically, nothing's breaking the rules, but it's still odd. Meanwhile, Seo-jin Kim's dragging all the bodies out of the dungeon. With his sharp blades, Manticore's slicing up the bodies on the table. Watching the scene, the supervisor can't believe her eyes. Bagging the bodies, the guys head off to the next mission. Suzanne just stood there, totally frozen, trying to wrap her head around what she just saw. Hopping into the truck, the duo bounced off, all pumped up to tackle whatever came next. The inspector was just chilling, checking out a tiny butterfly in his hand. For him, soaking up the sun was way better than being glued to a computer screen all day. Meanwhile, he was daydreaming about the next contestant showing up. Sitting there, he spotted the two dudes who hopped out of the truck moving super fast. Before you knew it, Seojin Kim was already deep inside the dungeon. He was all set to smash those monsters in one epic swoop. With a killer move, he took down a bunch of skeletons. His go-to move was always the same, hauling the bodies over to Manchel. Meanwhile, the dude was busy chopping up the monsters. The second inspector's reaction was basically a copy-paste of the first guy's. Was that a peep? The competitors had wrapped up everything and were off to the next mission. The guy watched the truck zoom off at lightning speed. The butterfly landed on his head, and they both just watched the scene unfold. In the office, someone asked if Mr. Kim had wrapped up the report for the dungeon cleaning contest. The guy finished up and dropped everything on his boss's desk. Checking out the papers, he zeroed in on the results. Soyeon Lee, from the East Academy, had a killer score with 16 dungeons, but he was puzzled to see she was only in second place. Digging through the papers, he tried to find if anyone had 17 dungeons. Suddenly, he spotted Seojin Kim in first place with a mind-blowing 32. Freaking out, he called Mr. Kim over to his desk. He was sure the report had a massive glitch since 32 raids in one day was just bonkers. The employee said he thought it was fishy too, but double-checked everything. Turns out each raid only took 10 minutes, when it usually took 30 for any student. Mr. Kim said there didn't seem to be any shady stuff going on. He mentioned the participant was from Dream Academy, a small hunters group in Seoul's Yeonpyeong district. Thinking hard, the boss tried to remember if he knew anything about the place. Suddenly, he remembered the school was run by the Sword Star's granddaughter. They both looked at each other, totally confused about what to do next. For them, the Sword Star might be mixed up in this, and they needed to dig deeper. Soyeon Lee, from the East Academy, heard she wasn't top of the leaderboard and felt bummed. No time for excuses. The guy in front of her said she had to be number one. She needed to hit 32 dungeons, clearing each in under 10 minutes. But with travel time, it seemed impossible. Determined, Soyeon Lee said she could pull it off. Turning away, the guy in the suit hinted at some sneaky stuff and said he'd handle the rest. That was Sokman Lee, a former Class A hunter and Soyeon Lee's dad, head of the East Academy. For him, moving up was the only thing that mattered in life. Winning and leveling up was the goal. Everything else was just noise. Curious, he asked if she was still thinking about Jinsu, but she said nope. The guy said Jinsu was a fool, unlike her. After being dismissed, she strolled through the halls. Her mind wandered, filled with memories. Soyeon Lee remembered a boy who said to be a pro hunter. Her heart should be pure and steady. Back then, she questioned him, saying people didn't think like that anymore. They were all about the cash. She laughed at his dream of being a great hunter who truly inspired people. That was her older brother. Meanwhile, memories of the past brought his face and words to the front of her mind. Remembering her brother made her mad every time she thought about him being gone. Annoyed, she kept walking, trying to shake off those thoughts. As night fell, a voice complained about feeling sore all over. Manchil couldn't believe they had to do all those tasks for another week. For him, driving and planning a route at the same time was super tough and exhausting. But he stopped whining for a second when he heard about the cash. Without taxes and fees, they scored around 7,800,000 won. Splitting it in half meant about 3,900,000 each. Sitting down, the two chatted about splitting the cash since Mancha was cool with the smaller cut. In the end, he scores 30%, raking in a cool 2,340,000. Seojin Kim tells his buddy to quit whining and just take the cash, no fuss. Sipping his drink, he nods to the deal. But our heroes all, why isn't Mancho freaking out? Dude didn't even flinch about the dungeon raids or how wild things were getting. But Mancho had seen the young dude throw down in the tournament earlier. He kept it on the down low to not mess with the kid's dreams. Mancho's always been that way, acting all tough, but really being a big softy. He had the protagonist back when he was solo, becoming his right-hand eye. They chat about the guy starting his own transport biz someday. In the end, the protagonist's super thankful for all the help. On day 2 of the dungeon cleaning contest, they're dubbed purgers. Everyone's buzzing, saying they didn't just raid dungeons, they cleaned house. Blown away by the nicknames, they mull over what the supervisor just dropped. According to the system, Seojin Kim's still top dog with 73 dungeons. At this rate, anything less than a win would be sucks. They've got 5 more days to crush it. The protagonist hyped for a big party, even inviting Suyeon, Menchiol's daughter. Sharing laughs, they hug it out like old pals. Checking his phone, the young dude's got a good vibe about it all. On day 3 of the dungeon cleaning contest, something's off. Showing his buddy, he asks him to peep the phone. His face totally changes when he sees it. All the dungeons nearby are booked solid. The closest one's an hour away. Ugh! A map pops up, showing each dungeon as reserved, and the guy's like, I knew it. In front of a truck, they plan to hit the dungeons they can. Frustration's real as the same thing happens at each dungeon. In the end, reality bites, only managing to hit 10 dungeons. Alone, the protagonist's deep in thought, thinking it's all super fishy. The truth spills out in a chat where one blames Soyeon Lee, the runner-up. The young dude's brain's buzzing, but he knows he's still ahead. No chill. The call's made to ditch shortcuts until they get the upper hand, 'cause winning's key. Despite the drama, he vows to give it his all, interference or not. Suddenly, a light bulb moment hits. While his crew's all ears, he spills the tea. Some folks are keeping a close watch on the scene. If Seojin Kim books a dungeon, they'll book all around, cranking up the heat. Those two dudes have no clue who Seojin Kim is, but are all about the cash. From a bench, a guy yells that the protagonist just snagged a dungeon. The plan's clear. Book all dungeons within an hour, split the bookings. But there's something fishy about how they're doing it. Tension spikes when a dungeon next to Soyeon Lee gets booked. Curious, the guy wants to see what's up. By booking the dungeons, they gotta finish the raid. No backing out. Seeing the mess they're in, the guy's super annoyed, not wanting to do the missions. Suddenly, a slice in the air appears. A mysterious woman slices through everything with her sword. Soon after, a car pulls up. In just 15 minutes, the woman's ready to hit the next dungeon. Suddenly, the driver hits the brakes. Curious, the girl asks why they're not moving. Clueless on where to go, the driver says all nearby dungeons are booked. According to the ranking, Seojin Kim's still number 1 with 98 dungeons, Soyeon Lee's second with 73. The dungeon blockades got her stuck too. The boss already clocked that the young dude figured out the plan but didn't expect this move. He tells the girl to keep at it cause he's got other tricks up his sleeve. On day 5 of the tournament, a voice calls out for Soyeon Lee. Despite everything, the young woman doesn't know these two randos. Participants can't brawl with each other, breaking a major rule. Then, the woman spots Seojin Kim. Grinning, he asks if she's Soyeon Lee. Even as rivals, the protagonist's all about a fair, fun competition. Feeling miffed by his words, she asks if he thinks she's shady. After they chat, he steps back, making it super clear he totally trusts her. As she watches him leave, she rolls her eyes. 'Cause in that world, goodwill's a myth. Humans are all about looking out for number one, always scheming for their own gain. In this game, there's zero room for being nice. With her sword ready, Soyeon Lee's all about finishing the job, as soon as possible. Soon after, she's out of the dungeon. Suddenly, she hears someone hyping up her rivals. Seojin Kim and his buddy just crushed another dungeon. Seeing her, the warrior's like, "Whoa, thought you'd take longer." Seojin Kim asks if he can snag the bodies she left behind. She's like, "Sure, knock yourself out." Quick as a flash, he scoops them up, leaving her totally stunned. Curious, she asks why he wants them. He's like, "Duh, money, obviously." Realizing she's wasting time, she turns and bounces. To her, goodwill's a joke. And hunters with hearts of gold? Yeah, right. Soyeon Lee thinks it's a job for a mom and daughter duo. Boom. A flash of light shatters the quiet. A voice asks Kalya if that's a 6-star dungeon. A massive dragon's chilling right in front of them. A reflection tries to link the dragon to the weirdness, but disbelief's in the air. The guy's intense stare shows his memories from 30 years ago. Amidst the drama, she gets the feels but denies the order of truths involved, begging for chill vibes. Jim and Jong, Demon Star's disciple, tells them to quit bickering, saying Grandpa's acting like a kid. The old dude's like, "Hey, we're the same age." All grumpy. With chaos swirling, they realize it's not just a glitch, but something way deeper. The girl quizzes the guy about the monster, looking for hints, but he brushes it off, sparking distrust. Knowing it's not just a glitch, she wonders about other dungeons. Jim and John thinks it over, saying it's unlikely, but doubt's still hanging around. Faced with the mess, she says they gotta dig deeper, sealing the deal. Outside the building, she asks if they're dungeon portals, and he confirms they're super rare. 3 portals pop up, each buzzing with energy, creating a wild show. The red portal's pulsing hard, and a voice says 3 portals together's unheard of. Laughing, the guy jokes he thought he booked that dungeon. Next to him, the other one's all embarrassed. Meanwhile, an old dude's saying sorry for picking wrong. Inside the academy, a voice is super annoyed. Looks like the organizers are scheming with a new scam. Annoyed, Seo-yoon says she won't take this, even mentioning her grandpa if needed. The announcement says, if a reserved dungeon's crashed, the invasion count can be swapped. Compared to yesterday, Seojin Kim feels like things are getting back on track. In the truck, he's sure no one's crashing his dungeons. Suddenly, a busted car blocks their way. On the highway, accidents are popping up, plus broken cars and lost keys. The system shows the heroes just one dungeon behind. Back at the academy, Seo-yoon says no one admits knowing Soyeon Lee, but there's no time for more digging. Plus, Soyeon Lee's academy head is Seokmin Lee, a retired Class A hunter. Being a smooth talker, the Sword Star is always watching him. So, even if they dig, they won't find anything in time, even if it involves her grandpa. Thinking hard, they need another plan to make Seojin Kim win. With a sad tone, Soyeon says sorry for not knowing how to help. But the guy's like, nah, I got here because of you. Manchil adds that she did all she could, and now it's up to them. Actually, Seojin Kim's got to handle it solo. A grin spreads on the hero's face, showing his plan. Ranting, the boss sees they're losing again. The sidekick says the boy hopes to be near a dungeon to book, not knowing where it is. Realizing the dude only took 5 minutes to book and finish a raid, Seokmin Lee's all like, time to bribe the supervisors. With the academy breathing down their necks, the dungeon team is out spying on the supervisors. The boss was shook that some random academy had that much clout, but hey, it's the Sword Star's granddaughter we're talking about. In that sitch, they were kind of stuck. But Seokmin Lee was all about making East Academy win, blaming everyone for the L. Meanwhile, Soyeon Lee crushed 126 dungeons, and Seojin Kim was at 125. Then, boom, the boy hit 131, snagging first place. They kept swapping spots on the leaderboard. Both wanted to win so bad, they ended up tied. In the contest HQ, 3 peeps were having a heated chat. Seojun called out Seokmin Lee for cheating, but he clapped back. Things got super tense, so a dude had to step in before it got messy. First off, no ties allowed. No proof of cheating, so Soyeon Lee stayed in the game. Yongsuk Shin, the dungeon team boss, was shook to see someone there. Seojun Kim showed up at the spot. In front of him, Soyeon Lee was there, looking a bit annoyed, waiting for the deets. With both there, the tiebreaker rules were ready to roll. They were hyped to win the 24th dungeon cleaning contest. Rules were chill, just pick one of the 3 dungeons. First to clear the 3rd portal wins it all. One dungeon wasn't enough. They want it all cleaned up. Made sense for the winner to clear one more dungeon anyway. All dungeons were 2 stars, so they picked their own threat level. Seojin Kim got first pick, then Soyeon Lee. Feeling bold, he picked the right portal. She went left. They headed to their dungeons, ready for the showdown. Before diving in, she teased him, telling him not to get bumped out. He was like, "What's she on about?" and couldn't clap back. Suddenly, the tourney kicked off, and they zoomed into the portals. The main dude dashed through the right dungeon, focused on his goals. He thought about Soyeon Lee's words. But no time to stress. He had to win this thing. Expecting kobolds, he thought it was sass. Even if not kobolds, he should have seen something by now. It's been over 5 minutes. Then, his face dropped hearing a scary noise. Seeing a paw, he realized it wasn't a kobold. A huge Manticore popped up, looking all dangerous. Thinking they messed up the dungeon rating, he saw it was a 4-star beast. Freaked out, he watched the threat coming closer. Seojin Kim was nervous, but wasn't about to back down. With one epic move, he took down the beast. Still, he knew he was way behind his usual time. Crossing the portal, he thought he was too late. He told Yongsuk Shin, the dungeon boss, about the Manticore. Panicked, he asked him to check it out himself. Getting the boy's point, he looked into a new match. But changing the contest seemed pointless since Soyeon Lee wasn't back yet. Hearing that, Seojin Kim got super anxious. Weird noises echoed from the dungeon. Inside, the girl felt like she'd been walking forever. Behind her, a giant beast crept up without her noticing. The main dude was worried she hadn't returned. Wrapping a bandage, he felt pain, but pushed through. Soyeon asked why her brother was ignoring their dad's orders. He thought about his values, saying he didn't want to cheat to win. He told Soyeon to never ditch her values, even as a pro hunter. Annoyed, she couldn't believe her bro would cheat, since playing fair didn't always win. Plus, she didn't buy into heroes anymore, thinking they were all old or gone. Hearing his words, she got even more confused. Grinning, he pointed out politicians who weren't corrupt or sold out. They kept arguing, showing 2 sides of the same coin. While sprinting through the rain, Soyeon was hit with a memory of those warnings about meeting someone someday. In a panic, she zigzagged through the crowd, dodging umbrellas like a pro. Soaked to the bone, she was all about that cold reflection, ignoring any ties or reasons. When he realized his brother was gone, he thought, what a fool. The biggest doormat ever. She couldn't wrap her head around Jinsu sacrificing himself for some random stranger. As she pondered her brother's choices, her dad's strict voice echoed in her mind. Soyeon was all, I'm not Jinsu. I won't let the fam down, determined to carve her own path. Back at the dungeon cleaning contest, things were getting super weird. After wandering for ages, she found nada, zilch, zero. Then, out of nowhere, a creature popped up, eyeing her like she was a mystery. She noticed the other competitor was still MIA from the mission. The leader was chill, saying no need for another match. But hey, if he wanted, go for it. All he needed was to crush that last dungeon to snag the champion title. The warrior was deep in thought, sensing something was off, like a glitch in the Matrix. Suddenly, Assistant Kim spotted some funky movement. The magic power meter was acting up, flashing a 3-star rating. Like, what? Right then, the young dude remembered Sword Star's talk about dungeon distortions. When that happens, the dungeon's difficulty level is way off from what it should be. The team leader was like, in 20 years, never seen this kind of weirdness. 2 staff members were debating if they should call in the hunters for a check. Turning to the hero, Yeon-suk Shin was about to spill the beans, but the boy had vanished. The protagonist pulled a Houdini, leaving the staff scratching their heads. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, the noise was cranking up to 11. Soyeon was in bad shape, hurting all over like she'd been hit by a truck. Propped against the wall, she was missing an arm and bleeding like crazy. In front of her, the creature was closing in, ready to finish the job. It was Malakazra, a beast with a 6-star rating. The creature let out a roar that could shatter glass. In her final moments, she thought of her brother's words, doubting any poetic justice in this world. The Malakazra leapt, aiming for the defenseless girl. To Soyeon, poetic justice was just a fairy tale thing. Accepting her fate, she felt oddly okay with going out less foolishly than her brother. Out of nowhere, something smacked the 6-star monster. She opened her eyes, realizing she was still kicking. In front of her, the protagonist was blocking the creature with its massive fangs. While holding it back, he asked if Soyeon could make a run for it. With a bit of time bought, her best bet was to bolt like the wind. Using all his might, he kept the monster at bay. Soyeon was blown away, wondering what the boy was doing in that dungeon. When battling a 6-star beast, the key move was to block its attacks. With a leap, he aimed for the creature's face, pulling a sneaky distraction. Seeing it worked, the creature started chasing the protagonist. A swift strike landed on the monster. His weapon danced through the air, aiming for the enemy's body. With laser focus, he got ready to dodge, gripping his weapon tight. After studying the monster's moves, he cooked up a plan to flip the script, leading it to a sweet spot. Out of nowhere, Malakazar's horn nailed him, piercing his chest. Pain shot through him, and he knew things were getting dicey. Soon after, the creature tossed him aside like a rag doll. Battered and bruised, the protagonist landed next to the other competitor. Getting back up, he was all about not throwing in the towel. He realized time was short, so the girl had to make a move. She was puzzled, not getting why the warrior was so invested. This wasn't his fight, and he wouldn't gain a thing from saving her. Soyeon was like, just finish the last dungeon, win the cash, and bounce. She was set on making him ditch her and chase the prize. But he wasn't about to bail and let Soyeon face the end solo. Even after seeing through all her tricks, thinking they were way off. Turning away, Seojin Kim was like, doesn't mean she should bite the dust. She remembered her brother's words about meeting someone someday. The boy knew none of this justified helping her out. Meanwhile, his thoughts drifted to his late brother, who hinted at Soyeon's hero showing up. Seojin Kim figured saving lives was the ultimate win. The Malakazra was getting more ticked off and NC. The hero's out here, trying to dodge attacks from this mega 6-star monster. He's got his weapon ready, but man, escaping this mess is tough. And he's doing everything to keep the girl safe. His face? Total panic mode. The Centaur's dropping wisdom bombs, saying instinct's all about thinking, but most students are clueless about it. Thinking includes judging, but sometimes there's no time to think before acting. People think it means not thinking at all. But that's not the whole story. In the end, instinct's part of thinking, and by figuring it out, our hero levels up big time. His brain and senses are syncing up, letting his senses do the judging. Right then, Seojin Kim starts thinking smarter with some next-level instinct. Boom. His body's suddenly all nimble and light, pulling off crazy moves. He's dodging the monster's attacks like a pro. And his eyes, seeing things differently now. In a chaos, he spots a tiny chance to win by feeling every muscle move. His skills are on point, and his focus is razor sharp. With a jump, he tricks the creature. If he keeps this up, the rescue team might show up soon. But there's a snag. Soyeon Lee's in bad shape and might not last the fight. She's super hurt and bleeding a lot. No time to waste. He decides his best shot is to go on the attack. Determined, he charges at the 6-star monster, aiming to take it down. He's trying to use his strength for a mountain technique and the world's spirit technique. He feels energy buzzing through him. The cut on his face is still bleeding. Without confidence, he knows this fight's a losing battle. Holding his weapon, he realizes he can't pull off a mountain technique solo. Still, he tries aura magic to finish the monster. After a deep slash, some blood spills. The girl watches the whole scene, totally focused. Seojun Kim takes another hit to his side. But the big creature's down, not moving. Exhausted, he uses his weapon to stay upright. The system shows his progress got a little boost from the battle. Carrying Soyeon on his back, he keeps chatting with her to make sure she's okay. Hearing her voice, he feels a bit of relief. No time to chill, they gotta get out of the dungeon fast. The team leader's worried when he sees the heroes back with a girl. They need an ambulance and meds for her, as soon as possible. Lying there, she makes it clear the Yumbya is not her Suro, but the hero's not expecting anything from Soyeon Lee. She's rushed to the nearest hospital. When news of the dungeon contest hit, everyone freaked out. Amalakazra, a 6-star monster in a 2-star dungeon, was a disaster. The public, the association, and the government went nuts, and Seojin Kim's name blew up. The Apostle of Temperance sought advice from Lady Kalia. Without getting it, they thought it was cause of the weird stuff in Korea. A curious girl asks her grandpa about the academy student who beat the monster. Not dragging it out, the old man says he was right about that rascal. Meanwhile, the young guy's just thinking about his cash. In the hospital, Manchul can't believe he's talking money again. In the end, they called it a tie and split the prize, which ticked the young guy off. He wanted to fight for the prize with a two-handed move since the girl's down an arm. His main point? The money's all his. Walking in, Saoyin chats with the two dudes. Suddenly, the girl senses something's off with the warrior. Hearing the prize got split, she asked why, since the young guy won the tournament. Soyeon Lee confessed to cheating in this tournament and others. She even reported her dad, Seokmin Lee, head of the Eastern Academy, starting a lawsuit. Shocked, the boy can't believe the competitor's sudden move. Seo-yoon also says the young woman told her some stuff. Earlier, Soyeon said she still thought Seojin Kim was wrong. Even so, the girl didn't see herself as the hero in this tale. After those words, Seo-yoon's super confused and just passes on the info. Now, the dude was the only champ, and the government was throwing in some extra perks because of the whole incident. In the end, he was going to get a tax break and an extra 100 million won. Cha-ching. Calling it an extra cash prize was just their way of saying, please don't sue us, bro. While the kid was crunching numbers, the young woman dropped some even bigger news. The Dream Academy finally leveled up to Division 3. Woohoo! Thanks to the kid, they hit the requirements, and now they could hit up 4-star dungeons. That news was epic, and all the props went to Seojun Kim. Now was the perfect time to recruit more peeps to the academy, grinning ear to ear. He knew everything was going his way. Decided they were going to celebrate with some sushi. Yum! Chilling in his room, the warrior realized his money probs were history. While his buddies partied, he had more important stuff to handle. On the Transcendent market site, he was ready to splurge on training gear. Now the dude had 400 million won in his bank account, baller status. His first pick was the Spear of Longinus for 100 million, no biggie. Any cash he saved could jack up the price later, so why wait? While scrolling through his phone, he spotted replicas like the Belt of Aphrodite and Fenrir's Thread. Thinking hard, he figured the Spear of Longinus was the best fit for him right now. All those epic items cost a few $100,000 with weird karma values. He figured it wasn't just a free pass, noticing the price jump at checkout. Plus, the item effects were vague, so he had to guess from their mythical tales. Realizing it would take forever to research, Seojin Kim got super frustrated. Suddenly, he wondered if there were any user reviews. In the Transcendent Students community, he could only read comments, no posting. The hero would need a mentor's help to make an account if needed. Soon, he found about 100 reviews and personal recs. Items were rated on a 10-point scale for combat, utility, life quality, and convenience. The Egypt shield was a hot mess, with a weird Medusa design, turning enemies into the owner to stone. No on-off switch. It scored 2 out of 10. Maybe a gag gift? Reading the reviews, Seojin Kim saw that Profile knew their stuff and wanted to see more. Kabisis was a magic bag that expanded without getting heavy, had image memory, and time-stopping powers. Smart move to snag it early before karma made everything pricey. The final score was a whopping 100 out of 10, piquing the protagonist's interest. Belonging to a hero from Greek and Roman myths, it was a gift for Perseus to stash Medusa's head. Curious, he checked the price tag on that item. 100 million popped up on the screen, showing he had enough cash for it. That bag would be super handy, even for hauling monster bodies from dungeons. But the only bummer was it didn't go completely weightless. Thinking he could do squats with it, no awkward weights needed, he decided to snag the bag right away. 3 days later, the dude was back on his feet with his new gear. Even without testing the Kabisis, he knew the item's vibe was awesome. Only the memory of 400 million won remained since the price shot up. Now his goal was to rake in more cash since karma couldn't let him keep stuff for long. Freaked out, Seoyun couldn't believe he'd hit a dungeon again after just leaving the hospital. She said he didn't need to since he had the tournament prize. Seoyun got nervous hearing he blew through 400 million won so fast. Everything new was pricey, just like the spear in his hands. Seojin Kim was hyped to try out his new gear. In the end, the girl knew she couldn't control his spending spree. The two entered the 4-star dungeon, on high alert for any danger. As they walked, something weird seemed to come from the statues. Suddenly they started cracking and moving a bit. Those were gargoyles, top-tier 4-star monsters defensively. Wasting no time, Seojin saw a prime chance to test the Spear of Longinus. At first, he wouldn't use any aura magic or techniques. Even with the gargoyles' tough defenses, the weapon should pack a punch. With one swing, he zoomed up to the monster. With barely a sweat, the spear sliced the creature clean in half. Both were totally floored by the weapon's epic power. Baffled, they both blurted out the same question, dying to know what just went down. Clueless, they could only stare at the chaos left behind. The gargoyles? Poof! Gone, thanks to the Spear of Longinus. Now, whenever Seoyeon hung out with Seojin, nothing fazed her. Or so she thought, while the dude did all the heavy lifting. He sliced through the gargoyles like they were butter, no cap. After stacking up a mountain of bodies, he decided to stash them all. Seoyeon was shook, wondering how he crammed all those beasts into a tiny bag. Almost tipping over, she realized it was way heavier than she thought, even with a 70% weight hack. Dumping the bodies out, he figured he'd scoop them up after the mission. Seoyeon wondered if his reward was in dollars. To her, it was wild that he could snag all those pricey items. Grinning, he said he just snagged them at some random hunter's shop. Hearing about a shop with a legendary name, she was hyped to check it out. But the warrior said the shop was closed since the owner was off on a long trip. Eyeing the boy, she wondered if he could ever fip. Despite it all, Seojin Kim couldn't spill the whole tea to Seoyeon. Suddenly, rocks tumbled down and everything started shaking. With a weird vibe, they both looked worried and freaked out. Scanning the area, something sketchy seemed to be creeping up. Taking charge, Seoyeon said she'd handle it. But the dude wanted to try something first. The Spear of Longinus was way more OP than he thought. With zero effort, he shredded the gargoyles like they were nothing. That's why he wanted to see what would happen with the Merlin magic combo, the power to pull off a mountain move and take on all those beasts. Tapping into his spirit, he was ready to unleash all his energy. His aim? To totally pierce through those monsters. With epic strikes, he tried to slice everything that moved. Seoyeon was blown away watching her buddy fight with all his might. His new weapon seemed to radiate a crazy sword aura. The gargoyles watched, waiting for their chance to pounce. But the energy surge wafted them no shot as it kept ramping up. His face showed zero fear, just pure determination. The monsters got wrecked with a total annihilation move that pierced them all at once. Holding his spear, he took in all the chaos around him. Her face showed pure shock at the scene she just saw. The Spear of Longinus hit so hard it left a massive crater. Legend says the sacred spear was used on Jesus on the cross, the Spear of Longinus. Even as a replica, Seojin Kim thought it might have flaws, but it was insanely perfect. After checking online reviews, he wanted more gear, but the more he bought, the higher the karma price. For the next 25 days, he was all in, grinding to earn more cash. While lost in his plans, she remembered something big. Jimin wanted to meet the main dude. He thought she was Seoyeon's sister, but she was just a friend.